Hey everybody, Ryan McMurphy here for episode 3 of Biblical Basics. Today I want to talk about sin. I want to establish what is sin and why is it a problem. Now, the word sin by itself, in the truest sense, all it really means is to miss the mark or to stray from the standard. If you were listening to a musical performance and you're very acquainted with what the song is, say it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and you hear the person playing the music miss a key. In that moment, in some sense of the word, they sinned. They strayed from the musical piece as it was written to be performed. Now, sin in the biblical sense is concerned with God's law being the standard, and human behavior being what strays from it. God's law is animated. It is specifically penned with the principle of love behind it. It's to illustrate and demonstrate and educate to all the created beings that inhabit God's world how to love one another. Any deviation from the principle and law of love ultimately leads us to selfishness, prioritizing our own wants, needs, and ideas over that of the rest of the people that inhabit the world, and including God. The first of the 10 Commandments prescribes that God is the one who decides what is right and what is wrong. And of course, the human fall that takes place at the beginning of the story of the Bible in Genesis starts off with human beings choosing what is and what is not good by disobeying, and creating a world off of this new pattern of government. Sin is a problem because God is the giver of life. To secede from His government, to enact our own way of doing things, this cuts us off from the very source that allows us to take in air and breathe and eat good food and have good friends. Ultimately, just as the Bible describes, the wages of sin is death. It's the natural outpouring of pursuing life apart from God. Another unforeseen consequence of straying from God's law and His government is that anybody can define what is right and what is wrong in their own eyes. That results in a world that's not ruled by compassion, that results in a world that's ruled by strength. Might makes right in this world, which is why we see so much violence. God has prepared a way to defeat sin and its effects, but for this video, we're simply talking about what sin is and why it's wrong. Sin, ultimately, is the outplaying of the principle of selfishness. And why is that a bad thing? Because it leads to a broken world, and ultimately to death.